Oh my goodness. It is the 27th of July and I have not done a single Christmas in July project video tutorial at this point. And so we're going to cram some in. Life has gotten in the way, which is fine. You know, life is good. Lots of celebrations and different things happening. So I wanted to get on these last couple days of July 2025 to share a couple of Christmas projects for Christmas in July. I did have my Christmas in July class, but if you didn't sign up for that, you didn't get to see the awesome projects. So we'll do that here. Now, what I've decided to use is the Sweet Jar bundle. Actually, I'm not going to use the stamp set, just the punch, but these are sold together in a bundle. And the Jar of Joy stamp set was released by Stampin' Up! Early in July, actually July 1st, I think. And so you can order this separately to the punch, or purchase the bundle and then add the Jar of Joy to the order as well. So we're going to use that. You can order at amyrich.stampinup.net. You can check out all of the wonderful products there. But we're going to start with the jar. And so I'm going to get that jar stamp out as well as the lid. And we'll start there and move on after we're done with those. Note that both of the stamp sets have a jar with a lid. The lids are a little bit different though, so you'll note that as we create here today. So I'm going to grab a piece of basic white cardstock and the Early Espresso ink pad, and I'm just going to ink up the jar and stamp that on a scrap of white and do the same with my jar lid. I decided to keep this part pretty plain, and then we'll fancy it up with some of the other stamps in the Jar of Joy stamp set. So we're going to grab the two that make the gingerbread cookies. It's a two-step set here of gingerbread cookie stamps. So I'm grabbing, first of all, the I don't know, the chunky one. And you'll see that this provides the base for those gingerbread cookies. And you'll note that these are designed to fit right into your jar. Just like that. Super cute. But you can tell there are a couple things missing there. That's where we bring in the other color, which is going to be that same Early Espresso. So we're going to line this up. Oh my, it's so stressful because I can't really look over the top and see what I'm stamping. So I'm kind of guessing, but I think it worked out okay. So we've got now that those highlighted areas in Early Espresso, and I think that just finishes the stamp off beautifully. So now we're going to go ahead and punch out our pieces. So we've got the jar, and we've got a lid here, which we probably could have stamped after the fact or lined them up to stamp them together, but it's just as easy to, maybe easier to stamp and punch out a separate lid here. So then we're going to grab our liquid glue, and when I add my, actually we're not going to do that. When I add my lid to the jar, I'm going to do it with Stampin' Dimensionals. So I'm going to get these ready to go. I have some really skinny parts of dimensionals here that I'm going to add to the jar lid. And then we're going to add some to the jar itself. So what I've decided to do is use just edges of my dimensionals. I have a lot of those laying around, so it just makes me use up some of those pieces that are laying around. And then I'm going to grab a couple of our arch dies. So everyday arches, as you've probably seen, have many of the arch dies that nest together. and create layers for each other. So I've done one in early espresso and the other in basic white, and I can tell you which ones they are. They are the fourth largest for the early espresso and the third largest, or the fifth largest for the basic white. And I'm going to start with the basic white and my crumb cake. And I'm just gonna rub it on scratch paper a little bit, but I've got my blending brush here, and I am just going to add a little bit of crumb cake shading to our white everyday arch, just like that. Doesn't have to be even, it doesn't have to be perfect, it's great the way it is. And then grabbing back my early espresso, I'm going to add my sentiment, and the sentiment that I'm going to use is going to be "May your heart be filled with joy." And I want that on my, actually I don't need that one, I need this one. I'm going to add that onto my arch, but you can see it is too big. So I'm going to show you a little tip for getting that to fit. I'm just going to ink up "May your heart," and I'm going to stamp that down here close to the bottom, as centered as I can. And then what's really important is to get that cleaned off well. So I'm going to grab my Stampin' Chamois here so that I can clean off that stamp. And then you can see that I'm just making sure all of the shadow is off of there so that nothing that I don't want on there is found when I stamp the rest. "May your heart," and then "be filled with joy" is going to go right under that. It is really, really hard when I can't see over the top, but I think that will work just fine. And then we will add our jar over that. So I'm just going to remove the backing here to my dimensionals, add that right here, and then grabbing a little bit of linen thread, trim some of that off, and I'm actually going to wrap that around the top of my jar. Is that dumb? I could just mini glue dot a bow on there. Maybe I'll do that. Especially when I'm on camera here, it's a lot easier. All right, so now I'm going to add the jar's lid at the top. Just making my quick bow here. When I do a bow in linen thread, I don't typically bother with the bunny ears. I just do it like I tie my shoe, and with the linen thread it works just fine. So then grabbing my mini glue dot, because it's kind of a thin little knot on my bow, I'm just going to roll up that glue dot and place it on the jar lid where I want my bow. Yes, much better. That was painful. I am so sorry to have put you through that painful experience, but we're in this together. Okay, so now we're going to add that to our early espresso arch like this, and then we're going to bring in a piece of designer series paper. I want to talk about this lovely paper. It comes in every single one of our Stampin' Up! Colors in color families. So this is the neutrals color family. You can see in here some Night of Navy and Misty Moonlight, Pecan Pie, Blackberry Bliss. You can see all of the colors in the neutrals in there. And then when you flip it around, the other sides are absolutely gorgeous. But I loved this side for the card that we're making today. So I brought in the crumb cake piece, and we're going to fold our card base. This is just a thick basic white card base in half. And then we'll add our crumb cake layer here. And we've got the hard work done already, so all we're going to do is add this now to the front of the card. We'll just center that right in the front here so that we've got ourselves a sweet little jar card, jar of amazingly beautiful gingerbread cookies. I hope you've enjoyed Christmas in July, project number 1. I've got one more coming your way this week, so I hope to see you back soon so you can watch that. Don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss a single video. Thank you so much, and Merry Christmas in July.